Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming. With me is...
Yo, what's up, old man fam? Phil Billy 330 here, back again on some Borderlands news.
That is right, we are doing another Borderlands special report. You guys all seemed to really like it when we did that last time. We're a little bit slow on this since the DLC has been announced for some time, but we wanted to wait until all the facts were in and make it a little bit closer. But we're going to be talking Borderlands for the next 15 to 25 minutes, and just the state of Borderlands, what we think of Borderlands, what we think about the DLC, and how this channel is handling Borderlands moving forward. So Phil, I want to start on the positive because we do have some negative stuff to talk about today. I think we should start with the excitement about the DLC, the new DLC that is launching on March 26th.
Yep.
Guns, Love, and Tentacles, The Marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock, which, man, they just love those really long titles for these DLCs, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
If it's not 9 words, we don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, next Thursday, I believe that is dropping, and I'm excited about it. I think that it'll bring a little bit of new life to the game that I think it's been lacking as of late. So I am very excited to get in with some of the guys and play through that, and hopefully it brings some new, just all around content to shake up the game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna say from a narrative standpoint, I still think the Moxie heist one. I'm not gonna try and say the entire name of it from memory. I thought that was one of the best pieces of writing we've had. I'm really excited to see if that's the writing we got for that one, if we're going to get that level content of writing on this one. I'm very excited for that because I felt like that was almost like old storyline versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like that was really back, and narratively I really liked that. I also want to say, we are going to be a little bit negative on this, but I am kind of blown out of my mind that Borderlands is probably one of the first video games ever to be featuring a gay marriage situation in a game. I think that's something worth at least mentioning. And I also want to say, this is nothing against the gay community, but these are two of the most interesting gay characters, the most developed gay characters in video games that I've ever seen. So I'm super excited about that. Go ahead.
I mean, I was just going to say, Wainwright was probably one of my top, 3 favorite new introduced characters in the game. So, yeah, I mean, it...
Yeah.
In today's world, I don't even really, think, I don't care.
Right.
It's just more content to me, and as long as...
It is more content. I think it's kind of cool that they are doing that just because there isn't a ton of that out there. Like, there is plenty of gay characters, lesbian characters out there, and they're getting more and more prevalent in video games, just like in all other forms of media. But I think it's really interesting that Borderlands, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, I just want to mention it, that Borderlands is kind of setting this trend when Borderlands is kind of usually looked at as such a kind of almost like a fart joke wrapped in violence.
Like a satire.
That they're that they're doing it with these characters, and I want to give a shout out to them on that.
And I do think they'll
overall
do a good job of I think I'm sure that I do have confidence in them to do it without throwing, they're not going to throw this in our face and it'll just be about that. It's Borderlands and this is it. That's what's cool.
Well, And in addition to that, one thing I was waiting for through the entire Borderlands 3, when I found out that they were kind of gay together, was I was waiting for poor taste jokes, because that's kind of like Borderlands 3's go. And I'm like, guys, this is a tough subject to make poor taste jokes about for the next like
Yeah.
12 hours, you know? But they didn't. So that kind of makes me really excited for
Yeah.
this. So let's move on. We're both excited about the DLC. Both excited about the content coming in the DLC. I'm going to say right now, I could care less about Gage coming back, because I never liked her in the first place. But I know a lot of people. She was a fan favorite for a lot of people.
I never liked her as like a playable character per se, but th- just because I'm really into it and the lore and everything, she did have a cool little backstory.
Right.
So I'm hoping they like maybe say like how she's doing, since I mean we assume that her father died. It was never like
Right.
confirmed, but that's kind of what the audio logs like led to and stuff like that. So maybe
Right.
we'll get a little fan service on as to where she's been, what she's been doing, other than for some reason she's a wedding planner, which kind of confuses me. But
That is weird. That is a really weird choice for what she was originally. I will say, though, they have done a really good job. I mean, criticize Borderlands where you want narratively. They've done a really good job of bringing older characters back in cool ways. So I'm excited about that. But we're not going to... we wanted to start positive. We're excited about the DLC. We want you guys all out there to know that before we inevitably get a little bit negative. So right now, state of Borderlands, maybe a little iffy. So Phil Billy, what's the state of Borderlands right now to you? Like, how are you feeling about the game?
So I think it's in a little bit of a weird spot, because so obviously it's no secret that the writing of the main game itself was not the most exciting to the general community. I'm gonna say that's a fair statement. No one was
That's fair.
overly impressed with the main campaign story. Some
Right.
were more hateful about it than others. I was okay with it. It was okay. I think there's a lot. I've made comments about a lot of things I would have made it more interesting. But so I'm hoping this brings
Yeah.
some new life. I'm hoping that it brings more replayability than the first DLC, which, as we said, went over very well, but there wasn't necessarily much reason to go back to it other than farming, for specific weaponry. I am hoping that this gives me the build bug again, because so what I've noticed is, because of the way that Gearbox has been handling this game, and with their so they did a 3-level cap raise. We already said how we felt about that, but they're going to be bringing out Mayhem 2.0, which that's not going to come out as soon as the new DLC. That'll be like the next bump of content. So I have some fears about Mayhem 2.0, and as you'll notice, like I didn't put. It's been about 2 weeks now since my last build video, and I don't have one coming out this week, which usually I kept it about one build every 2 weeks, and that's because and this isn't a dog on any other Borderlands YouTubers by any means, but I feel like right now the meta is set as far as builds go. So all these builds that people are still coming out with, they are more or less tweaks to the existing meta. I think that's fair to say. The meta has not shifted. The guns have, as far as weaponry, but the builds themselves have been pretty stagnant. I hate to say, like, no one has come out with anything, and you're like, holy crap! Why haven't I thought of that combination of skills? Do you get what I'm coming
Right.
from with that?
I completely understand what you're saying. The meta has kind of, and with any game like this, it tends to solidify over time. There's just nothing to be done about it.
Yeah, and the way that they're doing it, I feel like this has happened early, because think about it, by now in Borderlands 2 we had a 10 level cap raise, so that opened up tons of new, like, places you could put those skill points to actually, like, make a substantial difference in the meta, and
Right. Yeah.
with Gearbox, like, as far as I can see, that's not even really on the radar right now, as far as upping the level cap substantially. So what that means is the only way to really shake up the meta is through new, in my opinion, new class mods could potentially shake the meta up a little bit, and I'm hoping that with this DLC, when I play through it, I get some of these new class mods and I go, yes, this is it. Because, so the way my brain works, the way I come up with those builds generally is I find either a class mod and I go, ooh, I can take this and I can pair it with these specific weapons and change the play style of this character to be able to do something unique or tricky or cool, and I roll with that, and then I begin testing. And because I don't have all the time in the world, like someone who is specifically a Borderlands content creator and makes their living doing that, I just can't afford to dump all the time in the world on it. So I need that spark.
Right. Nothing against them.
No.
They've earned their spot. It's just they are making money doing those builds. We are not.
So I just need that spark to get me going again. Like Borderlands or Gearbox has been doing really good on buffing guns that were previously memes, which is great. I actually did use the Lob, which was one of the first rounds of guns they buffed in my last flak build, my last Gamma Burst build, and that was really cool. But they keep buffing them, and I'm not complaining about that at all. I am kind of waiting till the round of buffs mellows a little bit so that I can make sure that I am not dumping, because these build videos I put out, whether you guys think they're good or not, they do take me time, because I come up with that idea, and then I have the idea, and now I need to go take it to the field and I need to test it, and I tweak each one of those builds probably 10 times. So there's hours and hours of just testing that go into those. Yeah.
Well, I want to just interject, just from an outside point of view, how much work you put into those build videos. Not to mention, I think your build videos, I've watched some other build videos, I feel like your build videos in a lot of ways are superior, because I think some of the other ones, there's plenty of them that are great, but a lot of them are just doing ability build outs and then giving kind of suggestions of equipment, whereas yours are very unique because they are built around equipment, but in the uniqueness of that, it makes it that much more difficult to create.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, I mean, it really does, and I don't want to knock anybody else out there. Anybody doing build videos puts work in. I'm not saying they don't, but I think you have picked one of the most unique and difficult ways to do a build video, but at the same time, I feel like the payoff is amazing. I love your build videos compared to other people's build videos.
And other people have been nice enough to say that, and I appreciate it. So I'm hoping that we get those new class mods and those new guns to shake it up a little bit, and then I can go from there and bring some new builds to you guys, and and I want to make sure that Gearbox doesn't start going, oh shit, we buffed this too much. Now I'm gonna
Right.
nerf it, and because I'd be really bummed out if I spent the time to do something.
Want to tell a story real
Uh,
quick? Behind the scenes, Phil has already had
oh
that
yeah,
happen once, and he was almost done with the build video. He was ready to send me the stuff. It was like 2-3 weeks of work, and then they nerfed his some main part of it. I believe it
yeah,
was a gun, and that build video became completely and totally useless. And I don't think I've seen Phil that
yeah,
depressed.
yeah. It hurts.
It was a sad day. It was a sad. Well, it does, because when I put together content, my content is all let's plays and podcasts and stuff. I mean, even if people beat me to the scoop, it's going to be my take on it. It's not completely useless. If your shit gets nerfed before you put it up, it becomes immediately useless, and that's a
Yeah,
heartbreaker, man.
and because I can't do what some of the guys who this is their job do, like they might have, let's say I had 16 hours in doing that build. Well, 16 hours of playtime to me could be weeks. Where some of these guys,
Hmm.
16
Yeah.
hours is a day or two. So they could have still snuck
Right.
that build video out before it was useless, and they would have at least gotten. It still sucks, but they got some views and they got some likes, and people might have even had time to try it. but but in my
Right.
situation,
Right.
no, I just lost all that effort I put into it.
And I think that brings us to where we are on Borderlands content. I want to say, first of all, something that's very important to you, Phil Billy, and very important to me as well, is that we don't copy other people's stuff. We don't plagiarize, even though some people have plagiarized us. No, not saying names. I'm still sore about that. But we don't copy. We try and be original with all of our content. I mean, it's pretty hard when you've got like 500 people out there making content for the same thing, but for the most part, we try very hard to keep our stuff original. With that being said, we want to wait until there's something original to be done, and I know that is what Phil is waiting for. However, we're still going to be bringing you guys
Oh yeah,
Borderlands 3.3 out, and I think we might make this a
yeah,
monthly
that'd be
thing.
cool.
You guys seem to. I mean, 15-20 minutes about Borderlands. There's something new every month. I don't see any reason to not talk about it, at least for the foreseeable future. So we might make this like a monthly gig. So I think we've covered most of the stuff we wanted to talk about in the main stuff. I do want to take it a little bit positive towards the end. As you all know out there, I'm a little bit more of a casual Borderlands 3 player, whereas Phil is obviously the hardest of the hardcore. So I think we should kind of give our perspective on what we would like to see out of Borderlands to kind of make us a little bit happier, because I think we can both agree that it's been a little lackluster since launch.
Yeah, in the past couple months. The one thing,
Well, and the stuff they've given us that is good has been in such short supply that you get so sick of it so fast. I mean, you've got the Malawan takedown, which was amazing, but it was just that Malawan takedown. They haven't done any more. And then, of course, there was the first DLC, which was great, but there wasn't even a raid boss in it, so it was done
yeah,
and done.
I'm hoping
You know?
this new DLC does bring a raid boss, even if it's the traditional sense of raid bosses in Borderlands 2. Just like I'd even be happy if it was just a boss that people, because it opens up speed run. Like that may not be my thing, but it opens up the people who are trying to kill that. But you already have it on the takedown, guys. Speed running the takedown. So, but it just opens
Yeah.
up more like challenges, let's call it, for the community to place on itself, to add a little bit of fun to, because Borderlands has a great community, like it always has. That's one of the things that I love about the game. Like the guys who are into this game are just in general cool people. Like I meet a lot of I have people that I recall. Maybe I haven't met them, but they're kind of friends, that I met through this stuff. And
Borderlands has a ravenous. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. They have a ravenous cult following of just a group of a lot of people who play that, like, Borderlands is their thing. And I'm gonna say thank you to those ravenous cult followers, because I think we got a huge boom from a lot of them when you started doing the build videos. So I know that there's a lot of them out there watching our channels as well. So, with that being said, though, what do you think they need to do to fix it? Just the class mods, or what else would you like to see them
there's
fix?
some things I'm gonna say that I don't think they're gonna do. Like, I do think that adding playable characters, like, I'm sure that I'm kind of stealing yours, but that would help. So I won't go too deep into it. I think, like, I'm a little worried that Gearbox has been focusing more of their time on that Godfall game that is going to be an exclusive to PlayStation. And I'm wondering if behind the scenes, if that's why things have been feeling weird, if maybe they pulled a lot of they would never tell us this, of course,
support.
But yeah, if they pulled a lot of their support off Borderlands to focus on what they consider their next moneymaker, which I understand, like, they have. I don't know to what extent, and I don't know if that's why we're feeling it the way we are, but it's a possibility. So I think they need new content.
Yeah. I think if they did do that, if they are pulling staff away from this to Godfall, I'm surprised we haven't heard any sort of rumor or leak on the internet to that effect. But who knows? They might just be better at it than other companies. I will say, before I go into the thing that we all know that I'm going to say because I sound like a broken record, the thing that I would like to see is more content. They gave us a roadmap, and I gotta say that roadmap was pretty lackluster. And it was really shined up nice by an awesome trailer for, the second DLC. But when you really look at what is actually coming, there is nothing coming for like 3 months. And that is a little bit upsetting, in my opinion. I mean, they have one more event coming.
The new takedown. Then they have what you're talking about.
No, they have an event, a seasonal event coming, and then they have the takedown, and they have this DLC, and that's it. And the takedown doesn't come until
May. Which
May.
Feels like that's kind of far away, considering the last takedown we got was in October, November, December, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And and to go back on to my broken record stance, I think if you really want to pull casual gamers in, eventually you have to give us new characters. I mean, first of all, what you were saying about the solidified meta, it's going to happen because you want these characters to get balanced. So you're going to have like 6 or 7 builds for each character, and that will be it. Because they'll be balanced. So you either need to do one of two things. You either need to give each of those characters a whole new skill tree, which would be cool, especially when you're adding new points later on. I think that would be a really, really cool way to fix it too. Or you need to add new characters so that you can create, 6 or 7 new metas for people to play with. In addition, the people who aren't looking to build the meta, like me, will come back just because, I got a new character to try. I'll come back for the stat tree too, for the skill tree if they give us a 4th one of those. I'm okay with that, but you got to give us something. And their data excuse of people always go back to their originals. They always went back to their originals on the second one because there was no support like there is now on those. They didn't know back on Borderlands 2 that X character was going to get nerfed or fixed because usually they weren't, with Borderlands 2, they released a lot of DLC, but they released DLC content and that was it. There was no Wasn't a lot of patching or fixing. That came way later. With this one, we have ongoing patching and fixing as if this game is a games as service. So people are going to play whatever they want to play. You know what I mean?
And to even solidify your point more, I don't even know how I feel about that excuse to begin with, because in my mind, the Jack clone in the pre-sequel, yeah, Timothy Doppelganger,
Timothy Lawrence.
he was, don't quote me on this, but I feel like he was one of the most played characters in that game, and he was a DLC character. He came later, and
he had a pretty heavy meta too.
You can say the same with Krieg. Like, Krieg became broken later in the game, like when OP levels started coming out, because that's another thing, because Melee got busted up, and that was kind of Krieg's thing. So he like fell off, but still people know and love Krieg. So I don't even know that you can that their argument of people don't play the new characters is even relevant, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, just look at how happy everybody was just to see Gage in this, and Gage was a DLC character. People were happy to see Aurelia in 3, even though she was a dirty bitch. She was a DLC character in pre-sequel. I mean, I think that would be a good fix. I don't think they're going to do it, unfortunately, but either way, they definitely need to give us more to play with. They just do, especially when you have a game that isn't. This game, the story isn't something that you kind of create yourself. It's not a moment-to-moment story. It's a very linear story in the way it's told. So you can only play them so many times and get entertainment from them. So all you have then is the grind, and that's not fun unless you're giving us new ways to grind.
And what bums me out a little bit is I had to ask myself the question the other day. So I played Borderlands 2 off and on for 7 years or something like that. And I asked myself, and this kind of sucks to say, but right now, if I ask myself, is Borderlands 3 going to last the way Borderlands 2 did? Unfortunately to myself, and hopefully I'll eat my words, but I have to say no. I do not think it's going to last, have the longevity, have the legs that Borderlands 2 had. Because there are still people that got fed up with Borderlands 3 and are playing Borderlands 2 right now.
Yeah, popular streamers that are just F this, going back to Borderlands 2. Yeah, I think that is a problem. I think it's a real problem that this game is facing right now.
As far as this, I do want to touch real quick, if you don't mind, on the Mayhem 2.0 and why I'm concerned for it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad idea, but I'm not sure that the way that I understand it to be going about is good, because a lot of people, I know you didn't play these, Zach, but the OP levels, okay, they were introduced end game of Borderlands 2, end game.
Yeah.
And this was after every DLC came out, all that crap. So the game was done. You didn't really have to touch OP levels, and you still got a full experience of the life cycle of that game, pretty much,
Yeah, they were the hardest of hardcore.
These new Mayhem levels, the way that I understand them to be working, they've even related them to OP levels. And what OP levels did was they created more grind, and that was fine. A lot of people didn't like them. I didn't mind them because it was so endgame that I felt like it wasn't taking anything away. Like you could have just said I'm done, and you still got years of enjoyment out of the game, and that would have been cool.
Right.
But the way that they're building them is like, so the way it's played out is there's going to be 10 OP or 10, there I go saying OP 10 10 mayhem levels, and each mayhem level is going to increase its difficulty, meaning the gear that drops in that mayhem level will have buffs to it, whether it be fire rate, accuracy, damage. They're going to have to, the guns are going to have to do more damage because the enemy's health is going to be higher, so it makes sense. So let's say I have I'm Mayhem 4 right now, and I've completed all the content in the game at Mayhem 4. So let's say I got Mayhem 4 guns. I might be able to play content in Mayhem 5. Maybe I'm even good enough to go through Mayhem 6 with Mayhem 4 weaponry, but I'm not going to be able to make Mayhem 7, so I'm going to have to farm that gear at Mayhem 6 so that I can maybe get to Mayhem 8 to farm that gear again to maybe get to Mayhem 10 so I can finally farm that gear again to be on the highest level of quote unquote competition or content. And
Right.
the thing that you'll notice that I said a lot is farm, and as we've beat into the ground, like, farming isn't content. And
the grind
yeah,
content.
like,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
grind is a necessary evil to build a end game meta set, but it's not. And I'm sure there are you crazies out there that actually do really enjoy the grind, and that's cool. But I'm going to say it's a fair statement to say the majority of players do not play the game specifically to grind, because the majority of players don't
Right.
have 100 hours a week to sink into a game. And
Well, and there's one thing about grinding. Like, grinding is not content. We've said that a lot of times. Grinding is a tool to extend content. You do a grind to get to a higher place. You don't do a grind to grind more. And that's the problem here. Is the mechanic is you're just grinding so that you can grind again. And that creates, like, in Monster Hunter World, when you grind out a weapon, it's to kill a monster you couldn't kill, and then, you know what I mean? Like, or even other games like Destiny, when you're grinding out that gun, it's to get a higher power level so that you can do higher ranked missions. The grind should be the grind is fun. I enjoy the grind, but I only enjoy the grind when I'm doing it for a purpose. When you're just doing it to grind again, it just sucks all the life right out of it.
And that's what I fear with the Mayhem 2.0 that's coming out. I hope, and especially with it not coming alongside of a level cap raise, so you're not actually changing the build, you're just using the same build to grind the same build. Like if I like this build that runs a Brainstormer, a Stagecoach shotgun, a Maggie, and a Wedding Invitation sniper rifle, let's say, like one of my builds. I don't want to grind those 4 guns 6 times when it took me forever to get those guns one time because I needed this anointment with these parts on it, and the drop, as we know, the drop rates from the bosses and stuff, the loot pools are crowded, so it doesn't necessarily make grinding, not that it should be easy, but it's sometimes overly difficult still in Borderlands. And there's a lot, like your percentage, I don't even want to know the math on your percentage on getting the exact thing you want to get, but it's freaking lottery minimal, like, sometimes. So that could take someone like me out of out of a game that I love. Like I've stepped back from Borderlands just to let things mellow out a little bit. I haven't quit playing by any means,
Right.
and I don't plan to. But I hope that that does not put me in the point where I'm just like, I'm done. Like I'll come back and I'll play your. I'm afraid that it's gonna turn it into like I'm gonna end up being. No offense, Zach, but I'm afraid that I'll end up being more like you, where I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna come and
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the new content as it comes out, and when I beat it, I'm gonna walk away until the next new content comes out. You know, I enjoy being
Right.
able to dedicate tons of time to this game, and I hope that continues, and I hope they find a way to, because sometimes I feel like they come up with these ideas and they don't really think it through, and I'm not sure that they even play tested enough themselves. So hopefully this is all I'm going on this little tangent, and hopefully this doesn't even, maybe this won't even be a problem and I'm overthinking things, but I know I'm not the only one who has these fears, as there's been some guys that there's been a couple YouTubers that made their start actually on this game, on Borderlands 3, and they have stepped away. There's one in particular who he's actually playing Destiny 2 exclusively now, and he has some of the same concerns I do, and I hope that my concerns are not, yes.
Unfounded. Well, on that note, we are going to go ahead and let you guys go. We're definitely going to probably do this again next month. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming in and listen to us rant about Borderlands. And we're looking forward. We're still looking forward to the new DLC. We'll see what it brings, and hopefully it brings some of the
Yeah.
changes that we'd like to see in it. So, all right, well, we're going to let you guys go. Of course, check out everything our channel has to offer. Old Man Gaming DH on Facebook, Old Man Gaming 9 on Twitter, and then, of course, join our Discord. It's in the link. It's in the description below. And as long as you guys keep
Tell
listening
us
and
what you
watching, we'll
guys
keep
think
making
about some of the topics we've been talking about too. We'd love to hear your opinions and start a little conversation either in the Discord or
Yeah,
down below. And if you like this stuff, leave a like and
we
comment and
we are
subscribe. Yeah.
we are thirsty for comments. Please, we even if you think we're idiots, we'd love to hear it. So yeah, all
Later,
right,
old
we
man
will
fan.
talk to you guys next time.